So it's that time of year again, around spring, where if you'd like to participate in the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course, the 2-year Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course, this is the time to be looking into that. For more information on the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course, you can go to www.kriyayogaonline.com and click on the tab specific to the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship, and it will give you the curriculum, as well as if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a little download button which will download for you the application document, because you do have to apply for this program. I'm only able to comfortably manage around 20 to 25 students at a time per year. Now, the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship program, the goal is to steep you in the wisdom, the philosophy, and the practices of Kriya Yoga. The reason I made it a 2-year program is because I figured by the time you've gone through 2 years of intensive, regular practice, you're going to have a solid foundation in this work such that you can go forward with your life, continuing to practice for the rest of your life. Within this program, year 1, we focus primarily on exploring the Bhagavad Gita as a spiritual text, as a blueprint for understanding your spiritual growth process. That's essentially what the Bhagavad Gita is. Year 2, we do cover things like contemplative practices. We discuss how to read spiritual texts such as Autobiography of a Yogi and so on. But we focus primarily year 2 on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali for the direct philosophical, daily life kinds of practices that one needs to engage in order to fulfill and promote the results of self and God realization, utilizing Kriya Yoga as the vehicle. We meet once a month to discuss with a Q&A. So classes are posted most of the time weekly. There's a class for you to log in and contemplate and practice. There's homework that's presented. You're to keep a meditation journal. And we meet once a month to answer your questions and to meditate together. And then at the conclusion of each year, so at the conclusion of year 1, when it's possible, we arrange an in-person retreat. I've been able to do those at Center for Spiritual Awareness. So likely that's where we're going to have the next one. A week-long retreat to really bring home what we've been studying and to practice together and to have the benefit of a retreat, to have the benefit of being able to pull away and practice pratyahara in a dedicated environment specifically to meditation and the study of yoga, Kriya Yoga. We do that also at the end of year 2. So at the end of each year of the process, there is an in-person retreat generally scheduled. If we can't do it in person for whatever reason, then we do it all online. We set aside an entire week to meet multiple times a day for that week to discuss and experience meditation and the Kriya Yoga philosophy together. Now, this Kriya Yoga apprenticeship course is within the lineage of Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahasaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda, and Roy Eugene Davis. I met Mr. Davis around 20 years ago when I first became interested in meditation, a few years before that, but I was initiated into the practices of Kriya Yoga, and 5 years from that point, Mr. Davis ordained me to teach Kriya Yoga in this tradition. So we're following that tradition. Now, it's important that you review the videos on this channel, youtube.com/Kriya Yoga Online, to get a sense of what my own personal emphasis is in this lineage. Because if you're expecting someone like Yogananda or Roy Davis, that's not what you're getting. I'm sharing what has worked for me within these practices with the emphasis and ideal to continue to share and teach what Mr. Davis taught me, essentially, in the time that I knew him and I worked with him and studied with him. So this is in the lineage of Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahasaya, Sri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda, and Roy Eugene Davis. That's the emphasis that we have here. A lot is expected of you during this apprenticeship program. I expect you to meditate daily. I expect you to study daily. And that is because I want you to have a firm foundation in understanding what it is we're covering. So it's not really useful for you to apply to this if you don't have a deep sense of knowing that this is the time for you to begin to learn Kriya Yoga practices. Now, there are some prerequisites before beginning, which is why I'm posting this video now in the spring of 2020, because you need to, number one, at least ideally be meditating daily for 6 months before we begin. So if you're not already meditating, now's the time to begin that practice. You need to review Kriya Yoga philosophy and practices, and there's the 11-hour downloadable Kriya Yoga training course, which goes through these practices, and it also shares with you Kriya Life Force Arousal, Kriya Pranayama, and Jyoti Mudra, which are specific practices of Kriya Yoga. So you need to have a sense of how to do that from the beginning as well. That can be found at the 11-hour downloadable Kriya Yoga training course at kriyayogaonline.com in the downloadable courses section. You can also find a lot of that information at Kriya Yoga, youtube.com/Kriya Yoga Online. Go to the playlists tab called Learn Kriya Yoga. Also the books Kriya Yoga Continuing the Lineage of Enlightenment, Kriya Yoga Continuing the Lineage of Enlightenment, and Kriya Yoga Vichara. These are two books that I have written that do contain meditation routines and specific Kriya Yoga practices, as well as useful philosophy to know. So, first, does this feel like the path for you? I mean, really, not is this a whim of yours? When I first learned Kriya Yoga, there was no question about, is this the way to go? Should I learn TM? Should I learn Vipassana? Should I just be here now? There was just a knowing. I read Autobiography of a Yogi. I met Roy Eugene Davis. That was it. No questions. That was the direction to go in. If you have that same kind of sense, fine. Go download the application. Make sure you meet the requirements. And then you can apply. And as I mentioned, I can only work with about 20 to 25 people per year. So there's it's limited for obvious reasons. So please make sure that you take this seriously and it is important to you. Otherwise, just continue to stay subscribed to this channel and learn as you go, and maybe one day it will be something that is important for you. So, I look forward to seeing if you apply and working with you if you do apply. We're going on year 4 now. We'll be on the 4th year of this program beginning 2021, and it's been a wonderful process. The students who've participated have been a joy to work with, to watch how they've grown, and to read their homework and their essays that they write to describe what they've realized. It's been a real personal joy of mine to participate with them. So let's continue.